Hello, welcome to another video. My kill skill Vex build is back with a bit of an overhaul. Now the game's been out for some time, I'm all caught up now and I'm much happier where I have it. I now actually know about what items are in the game and how the damage formula works, etc, so I've been working on improving it. I've gone so far as creating a spreadsheet with this build in it to math out an optimal spec to, toss up and compare different bonuses. So this new variant is more powerful, easier to play, and arguably easier to farm for. Now on to gear, and well, basically, if the gun is good, you can use it. So I'm just going to go over my favorites, starting with Vladof SMGs. Vladof SMGs were the bread and butter when leveling, even if you don't get like the extra fire ult barrel, which becomes more common the more you level up. Just Vladof SMGs were great when you start sustaining them with Witchy Trigger Finger. Bosses would just die. It's pretty good for bossing up until like the mid UVHs. Higher UVHs, you will probably want to move on to something else though. However, they stay relevant all the way through in mobbing. The next weapon, the primary Wombo Combo. This is basically the first legendary I go and grab. It is so good in just every scenario. It will annihilate vile enemies. It'll annihilate most things, to be honest. It's okay for bossing, a bit better than the Buris, but yeah, the Wombo Combo is just the Swiss Army knife of guns. It's so good. Just highly recommend picking this up. The Chaosan. The Chaosan is the easiest way into good bossing damage. You maintain a few mags with your trigger finger, so you fire it, refill your mag, with your trigger finger, don't reload. Do that about 3 to 5 times. Once you're detonating the stickies, just spam reload, and the boss will die. It is not the quickest bossing, but it is consistently quick bossing up through, or like even to phase 2 Timekeeper. Like, Chaosan will do so much damage. In terms of mobbing, it's okay. You kind of need Explosiception. I wouldn't recommend. Another bossing option is the Complex Route. This thing surpasses the upfront kill time of the Chaosan at the moment. It is a lot of upfront damage. You do not need any specialization parts. You do not need Jacob's Crit. You do not need Atlas Traggers. In fact, I don't think Atlas Traggers actually do anything for the gun outside of enabling enhancements. So just get a Complex Route in the element you want with as much base damage. You can get it in all of the elements. Well, I haven't seen it in Corrosive, but I've seen it in Cryo. So let me know if you've seen a Corrosive one, because I've not seen that one yet. But you've got an element to cover all the health bars, basically, and the Root is just a very powerful weapon. The Bully. My favourite weapon to be utilising pistol ammo, as our fire rate is very high, we eat ammo, so having a nice varied weapon selection for ammo consumption is quite important. And the Bully is my favourite pistol. You've got every 14 seconds, you can aim down sight and launch an attack drone. The attack drone's pretty good. It's not going to kill things super effectively by itself, but in conjunction with the 10,000 car DPS it can get up to, it's a very powerful gun. In terms of another sidearm, you've also got the 7th Sense, recently buffed, ridiculously powerful. I don't have a good one myself yet, but if you can get dataless shotgun rounds and the Ripper mag, it is so very strong. Of course, we also have access to the bod. With 120% gun damage in Grave Implements alone, this bod will just destroy. Like, there is nothing, like, it is so disgusting. Like, you could just get this gun and be sound. The one I'm using has got pistol ammo. I don't even have the sniper variant. I'm not sure. I am recording this before a big patch, so the bod might get tweaked with this getting 5x gun damage, so just a heads up there. If that does happen, it's still going to be a good gun, just not quite as strong as being portrayed here. You also have the Anarchy. The Anarchy is a very powerful weapon, it makes a return. I prefer it in mobbing, but it can hang in bossing, just not quite as good as the Chaosan or Complex Route, but it is a good catch-all. And then, of course, ordnance weapons. You can use these for bossing. They're very powerful with over 20k card DPS. We have the Dead Spread, which is a 2-shot extended mag. You can also go 2-shot fire rate if you can sustain it. This is very powerful. Or, of course, the Hail Spike, which is 2-shot Merv on a Maliwan heavy weapon. The Hail Spike is more powerful, but it's a bit awkward to use sometimes. Yeah, these two are really powerful. Just get High Cal 3, aim through the enemy, like through their ankles, so you hit them and the ground below them to double up its damage. Very easy bossing, sorry. A good alternative option. Now, following on to rep kits. Now, rep kits, you can be a lot more open in what you get. I really like the Accelerator Triple Bypass because it just means I always have my action skill up for when I'm doing boss rotations with the Encore machine, and I can pop it for Fiendish Invigoration and still get some bonuses. There is, of course, the War Paint if you just want pure DPS and, you know, Amp and Rage, Order rep kits, etc. You just got to take what you can get and just have plenty on you to swap firmwares around. In terms of ordnance, you've got a couple of options. There is, of course, the Crit Knife. Now, this is being recorded before any changes, so I don't know what the changes will be, but I'm sure it'll still be a fine item afterwards. We have the Slippy, which you can pair with the CQC Specialization to give you some more fire rate. And you've got other just general utility stuff like Singularity Knives. They're really fun when you're using high explosives. In terms of heavy weapons, you can get lots of kills with them, as I've already spoken earlier, between the Hail Spike, Dead Spread, and a couple of the others. Onto class mod, it really just is the Teen Witch now. The Teen Witch is just, it's lifesteal into shield, which gives you Amp. Amp is very good because we have lots of bonus element, we have lots of on-hit get damage, so Amp is just another multiplier for us, and when we have a tool so powerful, we're always going to use it. The best Teen Witch for you to get is going to have +3 in Grave Thirst. It's the teeth gnashy icon. +3 here, it only goes up to +3 for some reason, is the absolute one you want to get, and then start considering the passives. Now, the best passive to get is probably going to be Fire Rate. Fire Rate, gun damage, gun crit chance, all of the above, very good. Just take the best you can get, but I would definitely go for bare minimum Grave Thirst +3. The other skills do not matter, they're pretty negligible in our damage. And then moving on to shield, yes, this one's going to look very terrifying. It is a triple amp watts for dinner, but we have 171+% lifesteal. Bonus element from our lifesteal. So this 25 bonus element is not actually as impactful as it might be on other builds. So if you cannot get an amp watts for dinner, even though it is best in slot, just go with any amp shield, like a purple, whatever. If you can get an amp watts for dinner though, congratulations. Although it does talk to you, which can be annoying sometimes. So yeah, the priority here is just amp shield. It doesn't matter if it's a blue, a purple, an watts for dinner, doesn't matter, just try and go for an amp shield. If you are, however, using Torg stickies, this is where amp starts to fall off a little bit because we're going to struggle keeping it up with the Witch. So you can just go for a DPS purple class mod, which is good passives, and a Super Soldier for the extra fire rate. So that is a good alternate option if you're doing Torg stickies for your kills. And then in enhancement, it really is just a case of the best you can get, trying to match the primary to the weapons that you're using, or just going for purely good passives. So some of these, I've got some good passives. So I've got a gun damage, splash damage, mag size one here, so that I can use that just generally, no matter what weapons I've got. I just collect. I just collect enhancements and just swap them around. It's really bad. I have so many. And then over onto firmwares. Now, again, this is being recorded to before a firmware overhaul, but that's mainly buffing the weaker ones up. So use your best judgment. Currently, High Cal is really high value with gun damage plus 10%. It's an on-shot multiplier, making it very, very good. Deadeye, of course, is always going to be good. No worries there. Heating up 1 can give you some reload speed, so I've got a 2-2-1 split here. Shots to Spare 1 also gives you a 5% fire rate increase. Airstrike 1 gives you a 20% radius increase, which is extra nice when it comes to heavy weapons, so I always try and run Airstrike on my heavy weapons. And it is nice to try and get a heavy weapon specific enhancement. So this one here, I've got gun splash radius and gun splash damage. So I'm going to get Airstrike on this, and I'm going to use this for my heavy weapons. And now onto the skills. I'm going to spec this out in leveling order in case you want to follow along, but do note this is an endgame build. So I always start with Idle Hands. Idle Hands, 3 points just for some reload speed. It's good reload speed as well. Playing without reload speed, even though we have a build here that allows us to sustain our mag, we're going to be reloading, and reloading without a reload speed boost is just sadness. So these are 3 points that I will always just spend for quality of life. Now, straight to Green Tree, and I do a 3-2 split for Grave Sights and Guns and Needles. You can do any split you want. Do note that some Grave Needles, Guns and Needles, sorry, Grave Needles, Guns and Needles is recommended because rep kit effects are quite powerful, and we are going to go 5 in Fiendish Invigoration for that movement speed, which will translate into damage. It's, area clear rate because going fast, and 30% fire rate, which is very powerful. It's a very good skill. It's just an extra rep kit bonus, so Guns and Needles, I will always take 1 or 2 points. I don't feel like I ever need 3 points, so I put the extra point to Grave Sights because we like damage. And, well, we do like damage, so we go Grave Implements. One of the best skills in Vex is up to 120% gun damage with Grave Power. Yeah, we're taking this. And this unlocks Witchy Trigger Finger. When dealing damage with Eldritch Blast, we reload our gun and gain 15% gun damage per stack, so a little bit more gun damage and free reloads, which is, well, free damage. This will also sustain Ordnance, heavy weapons, which are very, very powerful. And then this will go Drink Full for 30% more fire rate, and Mortal Terror. Mortal Terror will allow us to upkeep our kill skills on boss fights. It's pretty consistent, even though it's a low chance, because we'll be kicking out so many projectiles thanks to our fire rate bonuses, that this will just on the whole give us more skill activations, and more skill stacks is good. And then now, the biggest change from the original version, just from mathing out, yeah, it's Blood is Power. This skill is just too damn strong to pass up on a gun build, so you can either choose between Ars or Grave Vitality here. I prefer Ars Arcana because skill damage applies to our Vibe Check, which I'll also have. This allows us to ricochet our Eldritch Blast, giving us all 3 stacks of the gun damage immediately. And also, it adds essentially delayed hits to our Eldritch Blast, which makes it much easier to upkeep the mag on our guns when firing full auto, which is very important for boss fights. Especially with Torgue Stickies, if that is our chosen damage. So, yeah, Vibe Check is very nice, and it will kill trash as well. So, for that reason, I go Ars here. And then it's straight into Essence Leash Blood is Power. Blood is Power will look at our lifesteal stat from our skills, and triple it and re-provide it back as a bonus element, which makes it very powerful because we don't have bonus elements anywhere else on this loadout outside of a 25% from our shield. So this getting upwards of like 150, very powerful. We get 20% from Essence Leech, we get 10% from our chosen class mod, and we get some more. And we get some more from Grave Thirst here. Which will come as a part of our class mod as well, up to 3 points, so that's even more. So this is an absolute no-brainer to pick. It's non-elemental as well, or kinetic, so it won't get hung up on any health bars. Yeah, it's just too good of a skill to pass up. And that is the core of the build done. Now we drop 1 point into Grave Sustenance, so you can go more if you want. But that just helps us keep our action skill for boss fights, and I can upkeep my action skill now throughout the entirety of any of the bosses. You can go more just to add more comfort if you want, but this gives us 7 skill points now left over to kind of do with what we want. Obviously, it's going to be Grave Power, because that's just going to give us more stacks as well. Now, we need more kill skills. We got 4 points left. We can do what we want. Now, mathematically, the play is 2 Sanguine Fiends into 2 Grave Assault. You can do Cold Iron, but this gun damage at this stage is giving you less than 1% gun damage per point. You can also go maximum health if you want, and melee damage. I don't see a reason, so I'm just going to go with Sanguine Fiends, and then Grave Assault. Now, this is the best play here. However, you can also go target pre-science, which is especially good if you're going Ordnance, because we're not going to really be aiming for the head with Ordnance. With rockets, we aim for the feet, so target pre-science is very good for that, and it does help consistency with Mortal Terror. There is a genuine improvement, but with the limitation on skill points, we can't. Choices are having to be made. You're not wrong by going target pre-science here, but Grave Assault, some extra fire rate, and then with some more skill points, we can start working onto Grave Fiends, which is a skill I really like. And that is the spec. Moving on to Specializations. Riddle You This, CQC, Bullet Train, and now with Caffeine is the core loadout. After you've got these, just put the rest of your points into Brute, really. Riddle You This is just stacking gun damage, we want that. Bullet Train gives us more gun damage when we're moving, so all of our movement speed bonuses will feed into this, doing more damage. Now with Caffeine, this is our action skill uptime. We don't get much in the way of cooldown, so if you really want to sustain your action skill, now with Caffeine is pretty much a necessity. You want this. This never leaves my equip slots. And then CQC is a bit of an optional addition, because it will allow you to equip a Slippy, throw that, does melee damage, gives you 30% more fire rate. Alternatively, you can go for best defense or in the zone. In the zone is very powerful. I'm not a huge fan because you can't shoot off Incarnate whilst you're ADSing, but it is a very powerful enhancement. Now, if we go Ordnance Heavy Weapons to do kills, then we can start taking off a couple. So I take off Bullet Train at least, Fragmentation Payload, and Full Spectrum Arsenal. Full Spectrum Arsenal is probably the most important one there. So you can rock something like this for heavy weapons. Very good, but this one is very specialization demanding. And that about covers it for me. So if you've got any questions, be sure to ask them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Also, if you are looking at this in the future and you're wondering if any additions are made, I do have the Mobalytics link down in the description and the pinned comment below if you want to check that. That one is the most likely to be updated, so just give that a glance over. Also, it's just the same build in like written format. There might be some tweaks to skills. At the time of recording, it's got the pre-science spec on. Just the same applies as I mentioned in this video. You can swap between Grave Assault or Target Pre-Science. In terms of gameplay, it's quite simple. Pop your rep kit, interrupt the animation with your action skill, go to town, keep your action skill bonuses up, try and keep your Witchy Trigger finger stacks going. It goes up to 6 stacks thanks to Grave Power. Use it to stop yourself from reloading. And then once your action skill ends, just pop your rep kit at least twice, 3 times if you're not using an accelerator class mod, and you'll just get your action skill right back. And then you go right back into the fray with your action skill. And sometimes I'm honestly lazy and I just don't use my action skill at all. We are a bit overboard with power, to be honest, because the game is at its opening launch state. It's not that difficult. You can just get away without using your action skill. It's quite funny, but yeah, that is the rotation. So I really hope this build helps you out play Vex, especially in a post-bleed change world, provided that actually gets changed in the patch. I'm recording this before this patch comes out, so I have no idea what's happening. But I am only uploading it if this build still works, so don't worry. Yeah, anyway, enough rambling. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.